Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Tequila Talks, your friend Tequila Bay. We're here on our podcast episode 2 at UNKNWN in downtown Akron. If you're not familiar with UNKNWN, you're gonna get a good opportunity on see what UNKNWN is all about. And I'm here with Dom. Welcome, and thank you for having me. So it's very exciting to get our second podcast rolling. I think we were talking a little bit about our first. You got to see what Kofi and I talked about. So it's super exciting to be here and just giving you guys an opportunity to join us, join the conversation, and then give also UNKNWN a good platform. So just go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us what you're about here at UNKNWN and your role and what UNKNWN is all about.
Well, Louise, I'm so excited to be with you. You and I have had the pleasure of connecting about 1.5 years ago. So all of our conversations is all manifested into this moment. So thank you for your time and for hanging out with me with Tequila Bay.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm an Akronite, born and raised in Akron. After high school, I went away, went to college, had some experiences in New York City, mostly working in the retail sector. So I have over a decade of experience. I moved back here in 2020 during the pandemic, which was the perfect time. But now, a year ago, I was very grateful to have this opportunity to be the store manager at this brand new retail space. So I really want to bring this New York retail mindset to Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
An unexpected place, but a very good market, but also just community, bringing people together in an inspiring way through fashion, through art, through music. My experience so far this past year has been phenomenal. The community has really shown out in a powerful way, but we're just getting started. So we're not just a retail space, we also do fitness events. We have yoga inside the store once a month. We do things like bike club. Our most popular thing that we do is that we host local pop-up artists here in our store.
Yeah,
we had brands like Our Cloth, with Frank Miller. We had Any Means Necessary do a Halloween pop-up. So it's about giving everyone an opportunity to, showcase their talent through UNKNWN. And bringing everybody together in a good way.
Yeah, man, and I think for us, when we kind of got together about this idea of doing the podcast, the Tequila Talks, I'm big on collaboration.
Yes.
I've been in Akron for 2.5 years, almost 3 years with El Patron. My doors have been open for almost 2.5 years, but with Kofi, who's a local talent, local musician.
So talented.
UNKNWN, and you, in charge of this operation, kind of the direction that you want to go with retail and the brand, for me, it's extremely important to do collaboration, to build off of that. And in my space, which is the restaurant and hospitality space, we need retail. We need those opportunities to drive traffic. People are coming out to shop, then they need to grab dinner, or vice versa. They're at dinner and somehow they run into your storefront. So it's really cool to see that kind of symbiosis of business, downtown Akron, trying to kind of regrow it and the rebirth. So it was really cool getting to get to that idea and having that collaboration with Tequila Talks, UNKNWN. So tell me a little bit more about the retail in the sense of how you've collaborated with local artists or local designers and kind of what energies brought into the store. I've seen it on social media, but tell me a little bit more about that.
So the local pop-ups are they're a huge hit. Many of our local brands are just up and coming. Many of them don't have storefronts. So UNKNWN opens up our doors so they can, produce their pieces right here in our store. So many of them say, hey, Dom, I have my new collection coming out. Can I, partner with UNKNWN for a pop-up? Or we have more established brands that want to, do something a little bit more exclusive. They want the downtown traffic. They want that downtown energy. So the pop-ups, they have been on a different scale. We did one with Not Just October, which is breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
He had a collection come out, and then all the way up to we did one with Sway and Have a Good Year. So it's different people doing different things, but fashion is the thing that brings everybody here. Looking good, feeling good, creating in a powerful way. So the energy has been amazing. It's something I didn't anticipate when I first started, but we got to keep the ball rolling and maybe do some other, collaborative
Cool,
things.
Man, and I've already, fashion-wise, I've already spent some hard-earned dollars on some shoes. I want to buy, I think, every single shoe that's on that wall.
Those look great,
and
by
so
the way.
that actually started the idea of this whole Tequila Talk because of the importance of fashion, the culture of fashion.
Absolutely.
And then how do we tie that with the culture of tequila, which in its own way is artistic, and what actually makes me extremely passionate about tequila is how it gives me that creative outlet, the artistry,
Absolutely.
the artistic component of how I talk about tequila. So we came up with this idea of tequila. I almost said tequila and tacos. That's the perfect pairing, in fact. But tequilas and sneakers, and kind of like the sneakerhead culture with the tequila culture. So go ahead and talk to us about the 5 shoes. I gave him some homework. The 5 shoes that you picked, why you picked those, and then I'm gonna dive into the expertise of what I do. I do food and tequila pairing, but now I'm gonna do food and shoe pairing. Let's see how that comes out. But go ahead and dive into that. I'm gonna go ahead and start pour us up. But before we pour up, I'll just talk a little bit about this Clase Azul. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good.
Clase Azul, you all know it. The people that love it for its taste, great. The people that hate it for the brand, great. But we're gonna go ahead and drink Clase Azul Anejo. If you are familiar with the brand, it's no longer a tequila brand, but a luxury brand. So kind of segueing back into that conversation of luxury, it's Mexico's first luxury house. And how does that influence art, culture,
Absolutely.
Fashion, all the different mechanics of what embodies a good brand. So we're gonna go ahead and drink this, and then I'm gonna show you how to drink it. But go ahead and tell us about this first shoe that you picked out for us.
I'm gonna start very, very standard. And I love the idea of the top 5, top 4 sneakers. So my number 1 on my list is gonna be the white Air Force One low. It is a iconic staple in any fashion wardrobe. And I think what makes me love this silhouette so much is that while I spent my time in New York City, I guess about 6 months in, I noticed that a lot of people were wearing like dirty Air Force Ones during their commute. And I'm just looking around like, this is kind of like, I'm from the Midwest. I don't know, like, is this like a thing, But it showed me that the Air Force One is, first of all, an iconic staple because it's functional. I mean, it's like durable, you can wear it, but also the dirty white Air Force One is a staple of New York City because it represents the grind and the grit of the city. And it's a fashion iconic staple of the city. So, your whites here in the Midwest are clean. I remember back in the day, I used to have the toothbrush out, scrub them clean. But in New York, they like to get them dirty. So no matter what, it's an iconic staple that you can wear, with any outfit, any time of day, any time of year.
That's
really one of my
cool,
favorites,
man.
for sure.
And we were talking before we got in front of the camera, like how we're gonna go ahead and segue this conversation. I think I'll interject so that it can be pertinent. So I ended up pairing this with our Tequila Patron, which is like an iconic brand. Not as, again, a lot of these brands tend to be not so favorable. They're so well known in the U.S. market, but when you talk about these tequilas with more of like the tried and true connoisseurs like myself, the way that these brands might be made, the tequilas, how they're made, but Patron as a brand, it's an icon, it's a staple.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was one of the tequilas that got the U.S. market kind of rolling. There was not a lot of exporting, at least in volume, and then the luxury exporting of tequila. So Patron really set the tone with the market. It really established a culture of tequila.
Absolutely.
So I think I was able to reflect on kind of
like
that culture, that Air Force, the Air Force One culture, and it's just such a staple.
Yes.
Patron, you find it at pretty much any bar. And if your bar doesn't have Patron, like, do you even know what tequila is, right? So I think like the staple of Air Force One, the staple of Patron, and kind of bridging that together. I thought that was a great pairing. Whether you like the flavors of Patron or not, I think it's one of the better kind of high-end and volume tequilas out on the market. But let's go ahead and dive real quick into what we're gonna do. We let the tequila breathe a little bit. And if you got a little cheat sheet from the previous episode, Kofi and I started out by kind of analyzing the legs of the tequila. So this one in particular, so this is an añejo tequila, vintage. It sits in a barrel for a long time. You see how those legs are very, very slow to start dripping down the glass. So that's just an indication of the tannic properties of the oak and some of the raw material. But then that's also just an indication of the distillate and the quality of the sugar.
Yeah, it's like very slow moving down.
So you see kind of like a fine wine, like these legs are just so elegant. The color of this tequila is amber, mahogany. So the body is very important to understand. Is it aged? Is it not aged? The quality. And we always like to pour these up in these fine wine glasses so you can really swirl, open it up. Next, we're gonna go ahead and nose it. So tell me what you smell. I don't wanna give you the placebo, but tell me what you think you smell.
Definitely some woody kind of notes in it.
Woody notes, right off the rip.
Very robust, kind of strong, potent smell. So it feels like it may have been, aging for a while. I mean, it has a very strong smell to it. but also
Like
kind
a
of
robust oak. He's been watching Tequila Talks.
No.
He's using all the terminology.
Hey, I try to freshen myself up.
Yeah.
But then also there's like a kind of a lighter note too on top, you know, just based off my nose.
Like a lighter, like kind of like citrus forward.
Yes.
It's got some nice citrus and vanilla, caramel, oak.
Definitely vanilla. Yes,
Yeah,
I
it's
smell
very
that.
vanilla rich, and that's actually what makes Clase Azul so favorable. So people
You know,
that
I've never had this before.
Oh, good.
So this is like my.
I think
I feel excited.
Kofi never had Lobo. So
Yeah.
look, I'm just taking everyone's tequila virginity. So that's really
great
good.
place to do it.
Yeah. So this one in particular. So what makes Clase Azul so special?
Okay.
For people that don't understand about tequila or don't know, they say, "Wow, this is the best tequila I've ever had." It's
okay.
because it's so vanilla. It's so rich. I like to classify these as dessert tequilas because they're so sweet, but a tried and true drinker, because I am a tried and true drinker, I do like that rustic time-honored tequila. Those are much more mature notes. They're
Got it.
rougher around the edges, peppers and herbaceous notes that might not appeal to a non-drinker of tequila. So, salud,
Salud.
and let me know what you think. Take a small sip. Roll it around. And let me know what you feel, the sensory experience of tequila.
The energy behind it, like, I mean, you feel it upon it hitting your palate. Kind of goes down a little spicier than I maybe would prefer, but you know, it woke me up a little bit. I'll tell you that.
I think it is very spice forward. And I think some of that oaking and the spices
Beautiful.
bring that component. So once you kind of get that astringency out, and that's why it's important to let it sit on your tongue, let it breathe, and the next sip that you'll take is
Okay.
gonna go down smoother to the point where you're like, you'll wanna finish the whole bottle.
I'll just take that with me. It's
I've
okay.
actually done that before. Couple nights, I'm like sipping by the fire. I've emptied out half a bottle of Clase Azul Anejo, and it's pretty pricey. So if you had the pleasure to be drinking it with me, you know who you are. We got a really special taste of that. So let's go ahead and dive in. So what's the next shoe that you have for us?
I think, so spinning off from the Air Force One, I want to stay in the same kind of family, and I'm gonna go with the Nike Dunk Low.
Okay.
So it's one of my favorites because, I mean, who doesn't like a pair of Dunks? I mean, the flavors that it comes in. So you got the Panda, you got the, the USC Dunks, they had the Syracuse Orange Dunks. So I think this style is so popular because it can appeal to anybody from any walk of life, and it's personalized. You know, you don't have to just go with one color once in a while. These come out rapidly. I would say there's a new color every month.
Yeah.
But it's functional too. I wear these when I work, at the warehouse, when I'm doing my thing there. Also, if I'm just running errands in the city, they slip on and slip off. I wouldn't say they're the most durable shoe, but stylish, simple to the point, and functional.
And like the skateboarding brand too, right? They got the SB Dunks. And
Absolutely. So the SB Dunk has become very popular because of skateboarding. We don't carry a lot here, but they're hard to get, very, very coveted.
I know a thing or two about shoes too. So yeah, the SB Dunks and seeing all the variations, I think that's probably one of the more prevalent style of shoe here. Unknown.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I went ahead and paired it with Don Julio, a brand that's so versatile. I think out of all the tequila brands, Don Julio probably has the most extensive portfolio. They like to do different limited edition drops of Reposado. So you have like the Lagavulin, which is a Scotch-aged Reposado.
Okay.
You had, I think at one point, a Buchanan's Reposado. You have the Primavera, which is a very citrus-forward Don Julio. You have the Rosado, which is that rosé.
So
kind of
many
pink.
different flavors.
Yeah,
too,
so Don Julio does a really good job at creating different flavors and different types of markets.
Okay,
you have
got
the
it.
entry-level Don Julio, that's like $45, but then you have some of the Don Julios that are, $300, $400, $500
Wow.
on the market. We have a few of those at El Patron, the Don Julio Ultima Reserva that we just recently featured on an episode. Behind us, the iconic 1942. I think that's every
I know that one.
nightclub's baller tequila. If you're at a nightclub, you want to flex, you're dropping some 42. So yeah, I think the versatility of Don Julio and kind of just that chameleon-esque component where you can put it in any setting, at a nightclub, at a dining table, in a margarita, all different flavor profiles. I thought that was a perfect pairing. So
I've heard a lot of rap songs with 1942 in it, so I mean. That's
1942 flows, Meek Mill. I think it's one of the most popular tequilas, like the Dunk. So
what would you say, just to kind of go deeper on that? Sneakers are a part of culture, but tequila is a part of like culture as well. So what would you say, Don Julio? why or how did it get so prominent in like rap culture maybe? Is it just the aesthetic of it or just the taste of it? What do you think, just from your opinion?
That's a great question, man. So Patron was the pioneer of luxury tequila.
Okay.
And they were the really first brand that like laid all the groundwork in terms of exporting and all the mechanics and logistics of it. But then Don Julio capitalized it on what Patron did as like the premier luxury brand. So in the early 2000s, 2010s, like Don Julio was the luxury. You were drinking Don Julio, you know, you had some cheddar, you had some red, but then now that all of the actual traditional tequilas being introduced, and now that we have all the different creators and tequila snobs out on the market, you know, Don Julio is a frowned upon brand, Patron's a frowned upon brand in that respect, but I think for me, that's always been the value add and why I love all tequilas equally.
Yeah, good point.
Because I like to look at tequila not only in the flavor, but also in business, because I'm in business. So I find what value adds do these brands bring to tequila, but also to me as Tequila Bay and my brand, El Patron, and what we do. So yeah, Don Julio was like the premier luxury product. You know, Drake was rapping about it, Meek Mill. Who else? Probably Jay-Z rapped about it.
I think, Jay-Z definitely rapped it on Don.
So everyone, you know, at one point was like Don Julio, 42, that was the tequila, that was a staple. So part of culture.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Sneakers as well, you know. You heard Nelly's song about Air Force Ones. I mean, that really set the tone for everybody wanting them. But then also, there's no song about Dunks, but Dunks is more of a entry level, you know, shoe. Air Force One is a little more premium, but all part of the same family.
But then you think about, I think the next shoe we were gonna do the Jordan 11.
Oh my gosh.
But then you think about Michael Jordan and the component of culture that Michael Jordan created. I mean, even there were songs about people, you know, killing each other over shoes.
Yeah, seriously.
All the other kids with the pump. You know that song?
God.
So yeah, I mean, it was about the culture of how important shoes and how sought after shoes are to a degree where some tequilas are extremely sought after. I can't find them. It takes me years to find them. So I think it's really cool to kind of bridge those gaps.
So you mentioned the Jordan 11. You know, so honestly, if I can be transparent, I'm a LeBron guy. You know, I'm from Akron. It just sounds very blasphemous, but I remember being younger and the Jordan 11 dropped in the patent leather, black, red, and white. And it also came in a baby blue and white version as well. And like everybody lined up, everybody got them, but I didn't get them on release day. So you go to school, you see everybody walking around in them. It was the first shoe that had the patent leather kind of like staple. You never really saw that on a gym shoe. It kind of elevated a little bit more, so it's much more desirable in the communities where I was from. But I didn't get it, I was bummed. I actually acted out in school that day, I was so mad, but then I came home that day and my grandmother got me a pair. So I just remember the nostalgia behind getting that shoe. Yeah, man.
Grandma.
Yeah, she looked out for me. They weren't knockoffs, they were the real thing. But you know, she got me a pair and the feeling I got, you know, and I think this shoe attaches to the emotion, and I'm sure, you know, with tequila there's some emotion too, but I just felt like I made it. I felt like I arrived, and I felt like I was confident to go back to school. I got my 11s too, so that's what that shoe
means. And you know, that's the perfect pairing, and that was so important for you to kind of tell me these stories, because for me, the tequila that kind of made me feel like, wow, like, this is an experience, was Jose Cuervo, Reserva de la Familia. It was an iconic shoe in the sense, you talked about like the patent leather, an iconic tequila, excuse me, about the patent leather, one of the first to use that. Well, Don Julio Reserva de la Familia, the Extra Añejo, it was the first Extra Añejo on the market.
Wow.
So kind of this pioneering, kind of this splash onto the market, but it was the first like luxury tequila that I ever tried. So it's always been tried and true in my portfolio.
Okay, got it.
If you see it at my bar, it's probably most likely empty because I drink it a lot and I like to share it a lot. I tell everybody about the Jose Cuervo Reserva. So hopefully you catch it on a day where it's not empty.
Quickly, so tell me this, do you keep the bottles after you use them, or what is the culture behind it? Do you dispose of them? I kind of want to know that.
So a lot of those like high-end, so especially Jose Cuervo Reserva,
I would keep that, bro.
They do pairings with Mexican artists. So each rendition comes in those really cool cases. So each rendition showcases a stylistic approach of a Mexican artist.
Got it.
With the tequila, and every year it ranges. So they're collector's item.
Yeah,
and again, I think that's why this conversation just fits, man.
Yeah.
Tequila, culture, art, fashion, And look, man, this is extremely successful. We didn't practice this. This is all organic, but man, the conversations
It's
just
so
flowing.
deep. It can go deeper too.
So
I
for
think.
me, yeah, like the Jordan 11, the Jose Cuervo Reserva, that was my first, like I arrived, kind of feel like my first extra añejo, a bottle of that. Because this was probably like early 2010s.
Oh, yeah.
Where there was not a lot of like luxury product in Ohio. So buying,
love that.
buying $160, $180 bottle tequila, I was like, you know, I know my stuff. I'm feeling good. And yeah, that kind of iconic. That's why I paired it with the Jordan 11. So
But I feel like it also
great
kind of was,
insight.
it was like the stepping stone for you to want to work in the capacity you are too. I mean, if you said that was your first one, you probably got really on fire, like, hey, I want to have my own tequila bar one day, you know? So
Yeah.
it can kind of, just like for myself, that was the first day I really kind of felt confident going to school. So like since then I'm in fashion, I work in fashion. So you never know, these little small stories of just, you know, nostalgia
Yeah.
can really be the platform for
kind
your
of
whole
a
life.
ripple effect.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, actually, it's a
course.
really good point that you brought up, because not only that tequila helped me understand kind of the luxury, but then I started to introduce high-end tequilas and high-end products at my dad's restaurant. To
okay.
where like we were in a community where it didn't really make sense, but I became so passionate about it that I was building clientele that would walk into El Patron, my dad's El Patron, and you
fire.
know, I was selling $40, $50 shots to a point where like my dad's like,
What's going on?
what the heck? Like, I never thought this would actually work. So yeah, I think it's those
Okay.
defining moments that kind of like splash that ripple.
Love
So yeah, it gave me the confidence to now Tequila Bay official. You know, we're all in on the tequila. I got a agave tattoo.
Oh, gosh.
I am the brand. So
I never would get Jordan tatted on me, no. Maybe
No.
LeBron, but never Jordan.
yeah, we're all Bron. You know, Bron is a go. Michael Jordan, I don't know. All the apologists out there, you know, trying to say that
Trying
he's
to
the
force
great.
him in, yeah, he's
Nah,
long
LeBron's
gone,
it.
long gone.
So, but yeah, we're from Akron, so we gotta support it. We might be biased.
So I think, okay, there's a couple more that I wanted to talk about because these next two are really, really my top two favorites. The next one being the Vomero.
Okay.
So if you see Nike's push, I would say the last year or so, the Vomero has been at the forefront. It is more so their performance shoe.
Yeah.
What I love most about this shoe is the design. It has this kind of skeletal, kind of futuristic look. But extremely comfortable. I mean, you put these things on, you feel like you're walking on air, but they're also good for performance. Like if you're working out, you're jogging, you're running, they're all relevant to that too. So I think for me, the Vomero gives me the energy and the fortitude to perform at the highest level when I'm hitting the pavement here in Akron, when I'm helping clients, when I'm, you know, meeting with leaders in the community. I got the Vomero on, I feel
Okay.
energized, I feel ready. So that's why it's in my top
Vomero,
five.
yeah, hell yeah. And dude, like all these shoes somehow really had a parallel to tequila. You talk about comfort, you talk about just like the versatility and the comfort of how you feel in the shoe. I picked Suavecito as the perfect
Ooh.
pair. Suavecito.
What does that mean?
It means really smooth. So that's the
Perfect,
biggest issue.
perfect.
When you're drinking alcohol, that's probably like the biggest objection. It doesn't taste right. It's so harsh. Oh, I can't drink it. Suavecito, really smooth. Anytime I pour out a glass of Suavecito, people look at me, they're like, yo, this is the smoothest. I'm like, it literally is called the smoothest. So Suavecito just creates that cushion and creates that opportunity for you to just put back shots. Might be a little dangerous because it's so smooth that
You won't even notice,
you might
right?
kill the
Yeah.
whole bottle. But yeah, Suavecito, I figured that would be the perfect pairing and parallel because of that comfort, that
Absolutely.
soothing factor. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to cop myself a pair of that because I'm always running. I'm always doing. I don't work out a lot, but I work out at my restaurant. I'm running up and down.
So
I'm
side note-
gonna have to get a work pair.
We got 2 releases of the Vomero in women's and men's this week. So if you're interested, we have a men's version in a bone color, and then a women's version like a plum color. So lots of flavors, but it's probably the #1 shoe in Nike right now.
Okay, wow.
So just, shameless plug, hey, I do what I
Hey,
can.
dude, this is what it's all about. You're here with the platform and people that are in Akron. So, before we touch base with our last tequila,
Okay.
let's talk about that component about Akron and the people that make up Akron and actually part of the intention of us being here. We alluded to that earlier in the conversation about, we're 2 business operators in Akron. We're trying to drive change. We're trying to kind of reinvigorate. So what do you think that means to you as a business owner and what Unknown provides for the community?
It means everything to me. I moved back home 2020 because I had a voice in my head that say, go back home, and serve the community. People hit me up or see me out like, oh, you moved back? Why? I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not Akron? It's where I'm from. It's where I love to be. You know, I feel like it made me who I am, gave me my passion, my tenacity. And being here in downtown Akron, where, as you can see, it's up and coming. You know, we see businesses coming down, Unknown being one of them. You know, we see the renovation of Lock 3. We see the Polsky building getting a renovation. So like, I feel like I came back at a time of transition. So it's critical that we do the work now of collaborating. So when everything is up and running, we're flowing, you know? So Unknown has been something for me as a platform, but also the best part about Unknown, it talks about your journey in life. That's our logo. Our logo is a path. So it talks about your journey. So not knowing this before I worked here, I'm like, wow, this company really resonates with who I am to my core, because my life has just been a journey, you know? I've been here, I've been there, and now I'm back home. So I think every true journey in life leads you back to a place of home, and Akron is that for me, for sure.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the conversation that I like to have as well, as to why I chose Akron. You know, I was born in Mexico City, but living in Northeast Ohio, living in Akron for most of my life, and it's just like, you hear a lot of times people complaining about the condition, but it takes the attitude and the aptitude to want to make change.
Absolutely,
and to want to build. So when I looked about, you know, starting my business, I'm like, I think Akron is the community. It's an opportunity where it takes the energy and the desire to change. And I came in at a point where, you know, COVID had shut everything down. The construction had completely destroyed downtown.
Oh, Main Street, I remember that.
Main Street was all torn up, but like I came in at a position where it was even more kind of skeletal and kind of, you know, dire. But you know, I believed in the mission. I believed in what I was about and what I could bring to the community. And then that's why I've been so intentional with partnering with the community, because I know there's more people like me, and how do we create that platform. And hospitality is all about that, man. The platform that you provide, the space that you create to create an opportunity for people to enjoy themselves.
Absolutely,
and
bro.
you know, Akron, you guys created that 3-on-3 tournament, like, talking about experience. So what you guys are bringing to the community, the foot traffic, it's just incredible, man. And
we're just getting started. You know, I think this first year I was really focused on more of a local level. I think there's some higher level Akron related partnerships that we can build that have some really crazy ideas. So stay tuned, stay connected to what we're doing. But this is the work I love to do, man. Collaborating like yourself, and I love your passion, by the way. It's everything. If we're not working together for greater Akron, what are we really doing? I feel like a lot of people work in isolation here. No, you're doing the same thing, I'm doing the same thing. We don't have to shun each other's light, we can help each other.
We're walking the same streets, and I like that how you guys have partnered with all those local designers, some of the people that are kind of in the trenches, trying to also make their own path. So it's important to provide spaces and platforms to build the path. And that's actually, it's so funny, man. So I'm gonna speak it to existence, but for me, my tequila, the vision that I have for like the future of my brand and my tequila brand, El Camino, which means the journey or the pathway. Because again, it's all about, I've understood, at least for me, is that pathway, that journey of what it takes to be successful. But you know, most of your success comes from failure. So understanding like what failures are necessary and required for you to achieve success. I know Michael Jordan said something about that.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know what LeBron said. But yeah, man, it's El Camino.
It's all about my mental. It's all about my mind.
It's it's the journey, man. So like Unknown, a pathway. Like my tequila, El Camino. Like what you're all about, El Camino, the journey. I love it, man. So let's dive into this last pairing.
Ooh, this is a good
and then
one
we'll wrap it up, man. Time flies when you're in front of the camera, so let's wrap it up.
This is great.
Cheers
I'll take one more before we get into the last one, because this one really resonates with me. So, my most favorite shoe in this entire store is the LeBron 20 Unknown. Message in a bottle.
Unknown, baby.
This is special for a few reasons. The first reason is that it is our first collaboration with LeBron. That word keeps coming up, collaboration. So for his 20th shoe, can't believe it's been 20 years. He averaged what? Almost 30.
I'm gonna steal it.
Almost,
this one right here.
Almost 30 points a game. But it's to commemorate.
I have this, by the way.
Yeah, he has those. He needs to frame them and put them up. But it's to commemorate his 20th year, but also the message behind it is how he's giving back to the generation now. You know, I watched him play a week ago versus the Clippers, and he had a great game. Too. I mean, he went ballistic. He's playing some of the best fourth quarter basketball I've ever seen. But it's like, look at the message he's sending to the current generation now. You know, look at him being a role model. You know, being a great dad, you know, an active dad, giving back to his community in Akron. You look at I Promise, you look at the apartments he's building, you look at the House 330. it's like not only is he currently living he's a living legend, but the message in a bottle symbolizes his message to the current generation and how he's setting that standard for them. So 20 beautiful years of basketball. I remember I was in 7th grade when he got drafted. Now I'm in my mid-30s, and it just helps me to
he's still going.
It keeps me inspired. You know, I'm like, if Ron can still do it, I can still, sell a couple T-shirts a day, and just give this experience to Akron. So the message in the bottle, come by Unknown. If you haven't seen them yet, they're beautiful. They glow in the dark too. So you're a light no matter where you go, bro.
Yeah, and the conversation that I had with Kofi, the conversation that I'm having with you, obviously we're an Unknown, a brand that's collaborating with LeBron. I Promise, House 330, a brand that's collaborating with LeBron. I think the theme to start out this podcast is just the impact that he drives in our community.
Absolutely.
So like us that we're here, he's in LA. He's earned the right to be in LA, but we're here, doing the footwork, we're the foot soldiers, but that's actually the inspiration. I admire him as an athlete, but then also all the body of work and the message in a bottle and what he instills in you here Unknown, or what he instills at the amazing staff at House 330. I love him like a family man. Yeah. What he does in the community, that's what I try to embody at El Patron as well, is just being that beacon of light. So I paired this, I think more of a visual, we kind of alluded to that. We paired it with the Clase Azul, like the visual, the sands, the blues.
He styled this.
Yellows.
I don't know how he did this, but it's perfect.
This was the perfect, and I think it was the perfect end because we're talking about fashion, we're talking about culture, we're talking about tequila. You wouldn't think that meshes, but we found a way to find a story, to find the connection point between a shoe and a tequila. And that's what makes me so excited about Tequila Talks, about what I do, about my brand, not only in the restaurant, but on social media, my platform. So I picked Clase Azul for that purpose, and then also just the limited edition kind of luxury kind of component of what Clase Azul brings to the table. This was not a cheap shoe. I think I spent like $200, I haven't worn them, but $220. But yeah, that luxury, that expensive, that limited edition, I think we're the only bar in Ohio to have one of these. This is the Clase Azul Ultra. So just rarity. And that was the big event that you guys hosted when you guys did that 3-on-3 tournament. I came into the store, I bought the shoe, but message in a bottle. Tequila in a bottle, message in a bottle. I don't know how we can connect that.
But I feel like people want exclusivity. People like a luxurious experience. I think we try to shun that, like, every once in a while, it's nice to indulge. So whether it's a message in a bottle or a high quality glass of tequila,
luxury in a bottle,
it's okay to treat yourself.
It is, and I think that's what makes Clase Azul such a known brand.
I love that.
Is that in the tequila world, it's kind of shunned. It's like crap tequila, whatever. But like for the people that don't understand the mechanics, they're like, wow, this is the most beautiful bottle, handmade. It's got 24 karat gold. It's got platinum. It's got all these elements of luxury and limited edition. That's why I like Clase Azul. So I spend my hard-earned money into the decanters, not into the tequila, but the decanters. So, but yeah, man, I think this was a really cool opportunity.
It's awesome,
is there anything else? Any exiting moments? What was your experience like? What do you think about this tequila?
I think it's amazing. You see, I'm a little bit further along than you are, but I think what you're doing and what we're trying to do is be innovative and be creative with how we come together. So I just appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you. Hopefully it's one of many times we can hang out. And let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep highlighting Akron, what makes Akron special. And as business owners and business leaders, let's keep working together, because when we work together, the community sees that, and I think they're inspired by that too. So that's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's a great exit part of the exit interview, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really important for us to build Akron, to continue to showcase the talent of people, the talent of ideas, the community. Akron's a really cool spot to be in. I spent every single day for the last 3 years in Akron, and I'm gonna continue to build. I got some really good news from my bankers. I've been working. It's like 3 years in the making, but securing some loans, securing the next stage of El Patron. How do I continue to reinvest? That was a highlight of my day, actually.
Man.
I thought this was gonna be, but then I'm like,
dude, you're done.
Money
I gotta
in the grave.
myself.
So yeah, like securing the financing for the next phase of what I do, and I'm fully committed. I'll spend every last dollar.
I love that, bro.
I tell that to Alex, dude, I'm gonna spend every last dollar that I have to build Tequila Talks, to build El Patron, to build what I believe in, because that's the motive, that's the drive.
And it's happening, bro.
The rest
you know
of it
what I mean?
takes care of itself, man. The opportunities or whatever you can gain materially, that's just a byproduct of what the actual mission is. So yeah, I think the opportunity to be here at Unknown, for giving me this platform, I appreciate you.
Absolutely, bro.
To doing all the cool tequila pairings and shoe pairings, and then eventually to spending all this money on these shoes.
Holidays coming up, so let's pace ourselves, but I got you, bro, whatever you need.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for being
Pleasure,
on the show.
Man. Absolutely.
Episode 2 was a great success. For those of you watching at home, thank you for tuning in. Please give me a follow, Tequila Bay Official, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. Obviously, you're already here on YouTube, so go ahead and follow, subscribe, comment. Leave me your ideas about Clase Azul, whatever tequilas we talked about. If you don't like them, you don't like them. If you like them, great. But I just want to have a conversation not only with people here, but with you at home.
Yeah.
So please give me a follow. Tune in to our next episode of Tequila Talks. We're going to be talking about Suavecito, which is the smoothest tequila in the world. It does have additives, abocante. So yes, it does have additives, but it's the smoothest tequila in the world. So thank you for tuning in. We'll look forward to seeing you again. Give Unknown a follow.
Yeah.
And if you're in Akron, Ohio, come down. Come down to the store. They got a lot of cool apparel, a lot of cool shoes. Come spend your hard-earned money. So I normally have a little bit of tequila left. Saludcita. Thank you, Dom. And we'll see you on the next one.